ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यभागवतसेवया भागवते उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। Hare Krishna, welcome to this discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam. Yeah, right now, today we'll be discussing on Canto 1, Chapter 10, Departure of Lord Krishna for Dwarka. So, this is a very interesting chapter. Why there should be a chapter only for departure? If you see, there is one more chapter subsequent to this, Krishna's entrance into Dwarka. So, today, this. When Vyasadeva, till now Sukadeva Goswami has not started. So the Sutta Goswami is only elaborating this part of Srimad Bhagavatam, and we see there are two chapters spent specifically for departure and entrance to Dwarka. So we will see about it, the exact reason why Sutta Goswami is explaining this in today's discussion or in discussions, upcoming discussions. So it is very interesting that why one small instance is taking the full chapter. Uh, okay, so now where are we right now in the flow of Bhagavatam? So Krishna resided after Bhishmadev passes away. Krishna resides in Hastinapur for few months to pacify his relatives and to please his sister Shubhadra, who was married to Arjuna. He then prepares to leave for Dwarka. The Pandavas, Subhadra, Draupadi, Kunti, Uttara, Gandhari, and several others nearly fainted due to the imminent departure, imminent separation from Krishna. The Pandavas had intimately associated with Krishna while seeing, touching, conversing, sleeping, sitting and eating with Krishna. So for quite some time, they were all together. Now the prospect of losing Krishna's association caused them utter pain. So with this, with their hearts melting in affection, the women try to control their tears. So they are not able to bear the separation from Krishna, so they are shedding tears. The ladies especially gathered on rooftops and lovingly discussed about the qualities. So you can see here ladies standing. They are discussing the qualities of Krishna. And these talks were very pleasing. Then Vedic hymns. Pandavas finally bid farewell to Krishna. So this is Yudhishthir Maharaj who is bidding farewell there. This shows that spiritual love cannot be measured in material calculation. It is indicated by the amount of separation or the amount of emotional feeling that one undergoes when a person gets separated from uh, beloved one. Okay, so in this case, it is Krishna, the all attractive Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this chapter has five major parts. First six shlokas talk about kingdom of Maharaj Yudhishthira after Yudhishthira became king, what happened, and then it talks about intensity of Krishna's attraction. Uh, why everybody is feeling depressed when Krishna is leaving, and before he was about to leave, he was honored appropriately because it was for Krishna who supported Pandavas. They are able to be victorious in the Kurukshetra war, and now they have become they have got a kingdom to rule. Then sloka number 20 to 31, Astinapur ladies discuss the glories of Lord, and then Lord proceeds for Dwarka. So this is the gist of this not today's discussion of this topic. If you see the content of this mainly has how did Maharaj, the main question that is answered here, discussed here is how did Maharaj, sages of Naimisaranya are asking a question to Sutta Goswami, how did Maharaj Yudhishthira rule his subjects? So that is one important thing that we'll see. Then between in shloka number 11 and 12, um, the devotees talk about unbearable separation. And then shloka number 20 talks about the discussion of glories of Krishna by the ladies of Hastinapur. And then shloka number 26 talks about the glorious Yadus, Mathura, Dwaraka, and queens and gopis. So it's a very interesting chapter. There are no any major themes discussed yet, but these are all some important shlokas that we should try to memorize. Let's go to the shloka number one. Shaunaka Vaja Atva Swarikata Atva Swarikata Sudataino Yudhishthira Dharma Pratam Maristaha Sahanujai Pratya Varudha Pratyavruta Bhojana Katam Pravritta Kim Akarshit Tataha. Saunakami asked, after killing his enemies who desired to usurp his rightful inheritance, how did the greatest of religious men, Maharaj Yudhishthir, assisted by his brothers, rule his subjects? Surely he could not really enjoy his kingdom with unrestricted consciousness. So we can fundamentally see that enemies usurp the kingdom of Yudhishthira. Now, with the help of Krishna and his brothers Yudhishthir Maharaj got back the kingdom. So Yudhishthir Maharaj is described as Bratam Varishtaha, Dharma Bratam Varishtaha, of those who follow religious principle, Varishtaha. So he is greatest of all the followers of Dharma. This is a confirmatory question. So we can see that the sages of Naimisaranya know that Yudhishthir Maharaj is a strong follower of Dharma. Yudhishthir being a follower of Dharma, he would rule kingdom very nicely. So he won't go against Dharma. However, sages wanted to know the details, how Yudhishthir Maharaj ruled the kingdom. Now, interestingly, this chapter and this chapter the events described are very short ones. Usually in chapters, Yuga or Manmantra or a very long period of time will pass. But here, Lord's departure from Hastinapura to Dwaraka and in the next chapter, Lord's entrance into Dwaraka is discussed. So you can see in this chapter, okay, there is a mention of Lord Ari, and then onwards, Sri Ari, Lord Krishna, resided at Hastinapura for months to pacify his relatives and please his own sister. Then onwards, the topic of discussion moves from Yudhishthira rule to separation and union of Lord with his devotees. The question was how Yudhishthira ruled the kingdom. But as soon as there is a mention of Krishna, there is a departure from the answer to the question. So the first canto is rich in content. It has all type of emotions in it. In the first three chapters only, you will get a very comprehensive understanding of who is Bhagavan, what is Bhakti, what is Srimad Bhagavatam, who is Bhakta, different stages of Bhakti, how one will progress in Bhakti, importance of Bhakti, superiority of Bhakti, and so on. And in the next chapters, let us see the content of Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto. So, first three chapters are talking about comparison and comprehensive understanding of Bhagavan, Bhakti, and so on. The next chapter, next three chapters, we will see the history of Bhagavatam. We will introduce to the main characters like Narada Muni, Vyasadeva, and their backstories. So these three chapters, 4, 5, 6, talk about the inspiration for Srimad Bhagavatam. Then chapter number 7, 8, 9 describe about Krishna and dealing with his devotees. We can see how Krishna is affectionate to his devotees. How deep is the dependency of Krishna on his devotee. We can also see the mercy of Krishna on his devotees. So we can see how Bhishma Dev is dependent on Krishna. And in chapter 10 and 11, we are introduced to the highest levels of feelings of devotees. These are thus very interesting chapters. One is Vipralambha, that is departure, that is separation, Vipralambha Seva, and other is Sambhoga Seva. Vipralambha means what are the feelings of a devotee when he is separated from Krishna. And Sambhoga Seva is the what are the feelings of a devotee when a devotee meets Krishna. So how devotee will feel when he is seeing the Lord after a very long time. That is very nicely presented. Though it is a time of union with the Lord, but that union happens after a very long time. So the first canto is introducing us to all these aspects. These are fundamental and foundational aspects of devotional service. So Srila Prabhupada's purport will make it even more interesting and exciting. The first canto purports of Srila Prabhupada are mystical, deep, and special. The first verse focus, if you see the first verse focuses on Saunaka Rishi's inquiry about kingdom of Yudhishthira Maharaj. Shuta Goswami explains this in first 5 to 6 verses, but then he zooms into the event of Krishna leaving to Dwaraka and Krishna entering into Dwaraka. So in this one, the most interesting thing is the enquiry was important for Samanka Rishi, who wanted to know about the behavior of Maharaj Yudhishthira when he was at ease to enjoy the kingdom. So in case of Yudhishthira, we see that he is tested for virtue by all riches being taken from him. How was his behavior when that he did not have any money? So we see that he did not lose the path of Dharma when Duryodhana and his team were devising different schemes to kill him and humiliate him and also the Pandavas. Now he is an unrivaled king. Here also he is tested for his virtue again. He did not become puffed up, but was resolute on the path of Dharma. He did not want to rule till he was properly advised by Bhishma Dev. Okay, in failure of consistency or in failure, only our consistency is tested. We can see this in life of Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada was consistent to establish the worldwide movement. He struggled for almost 40 years. He was consistent in his attempt to spread Krishna consciousness in English all over the world. So in success also, he was tested. He always kept Krishna in focus. There were many people who called him God. However, Srila Prabhupada remained fixed in his service to his Guru Maharaj and Krishna. In success, one is tested for his pride. Srila Prabhupada was never proud. So there is one interesting shloka in Bhagavad Gita. यामि या इ न मतेते पुरुषं पुरुषरषभ समसु दुःख सुखं धीरं सो अमृतव्य कल्पते. Okay, so that means Krishna is telling, oh best among the men, Arjuna, the person who is not disturbed by happiness, who is consistent and who is never becoming proud when there is success, and one who is consistently trying to establish something, and is studying both is certainly eligible for liberation. So this behavior is revealed. The check of the behavior of Yudhishthir Maharaj is revealed in the question of Shaunaka. The consciousness of Yudhishthir Maharaj is whether is remaining unchanged. This is what we need to, or Sonaka Nivas wanted to check. Another example we see about this behavior in distress, one behavior in distress and one behavior when there is a success, was Sugriva, who got puffed up due to wealth. So once Wali was killed, um, Sugriva was seeking help of Rama to kill Vali and get back his kingdom. But once Vali was killed, Sugriva completely forgot. So Lakshmana had to come and wake him up. So, of course, Sugriva was a monkey by nature. Therefore, though he was a devotee, he is a monkey by nature. So he required her waking up by Lord Lakshmana. But we see that we need to remain consistent to ensure that our sadhana is uh, constant, is good. And once we become strong in our sadhana, we should not become proud. We should keep the same tempo and go forward. Then only we will be able to be successful in devotional service and attain liberation. We can go out back and back to God. Let us go to next shloka. Sutavacha Vamsham Kurvams Vamsham Kurvams Davagni Samroha Itva Bhavavano Hari Nivesayitva Nijaraji Ishvaro Dishtiram Pritamana Babuvaha. Suta Goswami said, Lord Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is maintainer of the world, became pleased after re-establishing Maharaj Yudhishthira in his own kingdom and after restoring Kuru dynasty, which had been exhausted by bamboo fire of anger. So we can see the analogy of forest fire, the purport. This world is compared to forest fire caused by cohesion of bamboo bushes. Such a forest fire takes place automatically for bamboo cohesion occurs without external cause. Krishna brought the Kuru dynasty and the Kurukshetra he orchestrated the killing of unwanted kings and population. So Krishna is an expert manager whose presence is not felt because his energy is orchestrated it. This is the reason why people do not acknowledge the presence of God. The invisible manager orchestrate everything so nicely. So they think that material nature runs everything without designer or a manager. So we need to see hand of Krishna in everything. As a Vaishnava, we belong to Vaishnava tradition. So in Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition, we have energy and the energetic. So energy is not possible without energetic. So we worship Radha and Krishna. So we worship Radha Krishna, energy and energetic together. So this is very important for us to understand. Then another important point is that we like to lord over nature uh, and does not allow any to. We do not want. So Lord wants the suffering human beings to come back home, back to Him, and cease to suffer the threefold material paths. The whole plan of creation is made in such a way, and one who does not come to his senses suffers in material world by pangs inflicted by illusion and Javala. So, why we do this is because we have a tendency to lord over the material nature. We think we can lord over material nature, but it is not possible. It is not possible to lord over the material nature. The lord over nature of every soul does not allow any to lord over. So one soul competes with another soul. So there is always a suffering, there is always a competition. And instead of trying to go back home, back to God, we get stuck in this material world. So the Lord wants the bona fide representative to be the ruler so that their focus becomes self-realization. So Yudhishthir Maharaj is the representative of God. When he comes over to Lord over everything, then the other competitors, other small rulers, other individual souls can focus on spiritual realization and they get go back home, back to God. The Lord was there, fully satisfied when King Yudhishthira was on the throne, and the seedling of the dynasty of Kuru in the person of Maharaj Parishad was saved. So this is important. So lording of this material world can be done only by devotees because they know how to guide the entire population towards Krishna. Otherwise, we are simply suffering in the burning fire of material energy. Okay, we'll go to the next shloka. निशम्य भीष्मोक्तम् अथ अथ अच्युतोक्तम् प्रवृत्त विज्ञान विदूत विभ्रमः शासगम् इंद्र इव जिताश्रया परिद्यापनम् अनुजा अनुवर्तितः Maharaj Yudhishthira, after being enlightened by what was spoken by Bhishma Dev and Lord Sri Krishna, Bhishmoktam Ata Achyutoktam, the infallible, they engaged himself in matters of perfect knowledge because all his misgivings were eradicated. Thus he ruled over the earth and seas and was followed by his younger brothers. Anuja Anuvartitaha. Anuvartitaha. Yeah, so this line is important. The conception of one world state can only be fulfilled if we can follow the infallible authority. An imperfect human being cannot create an ideology acceptable to everyone. Only the perfect and infallible can create a program which is applicable at every place and can be followed by all in the world. So, who is perfect and infallible? One who follows in the footsteps, um, one who is following in the footsteps of a devotee and Lord. He alone can be perfect and infallible. Others cannot. Therefore, whether the rule is communist or whether it is democracy, it will not work out because and it is not possible to create ideology which is acceptable by everyone unless the person is a bona fide guru and is a follower of Lord Krishna. So that is Bhishmoktam Achyutoktam. So we should take instructions from them, then only from a devotee and from Lord. Then only we can rule over. Engaged himself, um, pravritta vijnana viduta kalmasha vibrama. So he was engaged in ruling the kingdom after he got vijnana viduta, where he got the full knowledge by Bhishmoktam and Architoktam. Okay, let us go to the next shloka. Kamam avasya parjanya sarva kamadugami sisichosam parjan kava pasya payaso dasvate muda. During the reign of Maharaj Yudhishthira, the clouds showered all the water that people needed, and earth produced all the necessities of man in profusion. Due to its fatty, milky bag and cheerful attitude, the cow used to moisten the grazing ground with milk. Here, Prabhupada makes one interesting point. Human civilization should depend on production of material nature without artificially attempting economic development to turn the world into chaos or artificial greed and power only for purpose of artificial luxuries and sense gratification. This is where the life of dogs and hogs. So what is required for us, that alone we should take. We should not get into artificial greed and power. And this is resulting why we need this, why we need artificial greed and power to satisfy our ego and senses. And this ego and senses is characteristics of animals, especially dogs and hogs. They are very much attached to bodily bodily sensation or bodily consciousness. So we should give up our attachment for sense gratification and we should give up our policy. That is very important. Otherwise, we get stuck in this material world or we get into lower species of life. Nadyaha samudra girayaha swarnaspati viruddhaha alanti oshadaya sarva kamam anvratu tasya vai. The rivers, oceans, hills, mountains, forests, creepers, and active drugs in every season pay their tax quota to a king in profusion. Since Maharaj Yudhishthira was under the protection of Ajita, the infallible lord, as above mentioned, the properties of the lord, namely rivers, oceans, hills, forests, etc., were all pleased and they used to supply the respective quota of taxes to the king. The secret of success is to take refuge under the protection of Supreme Lord. So we need to become intelligent and just surrender to Krishna, who is the original Father. So if we surrender to Him, we need not have to worry about our day to day life. We need to surrender to Him and engage in serving Him. serving him by chanting his holy names, spreading his holy all over the world, so that this entire earth becomes the Krishna conscious planet. So that should be our target. When we do that, we need not have to work hard and get entangled in the material world. So that once we finish our life, we can go back home, back to God without much challenge. We go to the next shloka, shloka number 6. नदयो व्याधक्लेशादयो भूतात्महेतवः अजातशत्रु भवान् जन्तूनां राज्ञि करिहि चेत् राज्ञि करिहि चेत्. Because of kings having no enemy, the living beings were not at any time disturbed by mental agonies, disease, or excessive heat or cold. There's an interesting thing Prabhupada is mentioning here. There is a proverb in Bengali that a bad king spoils the kingdom and poor bad housewife spoils the family. This truth is applicable here also because the king was pious and obedient to the Lord and sages. Because he has no enemy, he was no one's enemy, and because he was a recognized agent of Lord and therefore protected by him, all the citizens under king's protection were, so to speak, directly protected by law, is authorized agents. Unless one is pious and recognized by the law, he cannot make others happy who are under his care. So, if we need to have a very good family life, very good society, very good country, everyone, the leader of that society, leader of the family, leader of the country should be a devotee who has taken the refuge of Krishna. Unless this happens, it is not possible to give happiness to the people, satisfy all the people's requirements, and ensure that they are moving towards Krishna consciousness. So this is important for us. Let's go to the next shloka. उषित्व अस्तिनापुरे मासान् कतिपयान् हरि सुहृदां च विशोकाय स्वसुश्च प्रियकाम्यया. Sri Hari, Lord Sri Krishna, resided at Hastinapur for a few months to pacify his relatives and please his own sister Shubhadra. Swashuku. Actually, if you see, Krishna had to leave in chapter 8. Chapter 8, son of Drona was punished, but then Krishna had to leave in chapter 8. Okay, but then Ashwatthama uh, put a arrow, Brahmastra, which intended to kill the womb of Uttara. In the womb of Uttara, we had Parishit Maharaj. And then Uttara, she is praying to Krishna, and Krishna protects the womb of Uttara. And then he is seeing this, Kunti Maharani prays to Krishna. So there is prayers for Krishna. So what had to happen in chapter 8 is now coming to chapter 9. Then we had very beautiful poems of beautiful prayers of Bhishma Dev. Now, so now we see that Krishna is now coming, is living after saving Parishit Maharaj, after delivering Bhishma Dev at the time of his death. Now, Shubhadra, who is whose son was killed in the war, uh, she need to be pacified. The Lord decided to stay specifically to pacify the aggrieved king as well as to please Shubhadra, sister of Lord Shri Krishna. Shubhadra was especially to be pacified because she lost her only son, Abhimanyu, who was just married. The boy left his wife Uttara, mother of Maharaj Parishit. The Lord is always pleased to satisfy his devotee in any capacity. Only his devotees can play the part of his relatives. The Lord is absolute. So we can see that how Lord reciprocated uh, uh, reciprocated the feelings of Subhadra by staying in Hastinapur and taking care of her and pacifying her. It is very clear that Abhimanyu was killed, and both Uttara and Subhadra were feeling or missing Abhimanyu. But to pacify them, Lord Krishna stayed with them and took care of them. So this is something which is very nice about Krishna. So when we chant, when we chant chant Hare Krishna mantra, when we read Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna reciprocates by cleaning our heart. Whatever the attachments, material attachments we have, it slowly subsides, and Krishna helps us in giving up all those misplaced desires, anarthas. All anarthas are non-meaningful or unmeaningful things in our life gets destroyed when we keep associating with Krishna. Go to the next shloka. Amantraya cha abhyanu anuja anujnata परिष्वज्य अभिवाद्यतम् आरुरोरतं कश्चित् परिष्वक्तो अभिवादितः. Afterwards, when Lord asked permission to depart and king gave it, Lord offered his respect to Maharaj Yudhishthira by bowing down at his feet, and king embraced him. After this, Lord, being embraced by others and receiving their obeisances, got into the chariot. Now we see that Krishna is reciprocating to each one of them. So he takes permission from Maharaj Yudhishthira because he is senior to him in his age, and he falls at his lotus feet and takes his blessing. Then Yudhishthira Maharaj embraces him, and then after this, Lord is embraced by Bhima and Arjuna, who are like there is same age, they are of the same age of Lord. And Nakula and Sadeva fell down at his feet and took blessings from him. And then Lord got into the chariot. So we will stop here today. We will be getting into the next part of the Srimad Bhagavatam, this chapter, in our next class. Thank you very much. Panchakalpatarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhu Kalveja, Patitanam Pavnebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo Namo, Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki Jai, Gaur Beyond Dev, Krishna.